Welcome everybody. Yeah, back to this journey called life on Billionaire Charlie.
And I'm your girl, Her She Thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have some great topics we're going to talk about today because you know how it always goes down on the journey. So we're going to jump right into it. First, we want to talk about these two videos that are going viral. There's one going viral of a girl. Basically, it's a young girl. She seems to be Caucasian, and there's another girl who seems to be either Islamic or Muslim, and she sit at the lunch table. So the one girl is like punching her. She turns around, looks at the camera, and gets like clout from her friends, and they're laughing and giggling, and she turns around and starts hitting this Muslim girl all over again, or this POC, whichever one you want to say, all over again on camera. Nobody's doing anything for the girl. Then all of a sudden, you see a queen, the African-American queen. She runs up and she starts beating this way Caucasian, let's put it like that way, girl down. And everybody was mad at the black girl because they're like, oh, she shouldn't have jumped in. And then there's another review that says she basically, you know, was handing out equal rights. The girl, the Islamic girl or Muslim girl, she was sitting there taking a beat down from this girl, and she kept balling up under the table and wasn't even fighting back. And the one girl thought it was funny to keep punching her over and over until this black girl jumps in. Now, the two things that are on the table is, number one, there was a teacher that everybody is talking about. They're saying, why did the teacher not intervene when the Caucasian girl was whooping the Muslim girl? And why is it that when the black girl starts dragging this girl across the lunchroom, all of a sudden the teacher's like, stop. And, you know, he had brought up a good point when we first saw the video. You can't really say whether the teacher was there the whole time because the way the camera is angled, it's literally on the girl who's hitting the Muslim girl in the seat, and you literally don't see any teachers until, you know, the one girl who started the fight is getting dragged. So I told him, I said, we got to come on the live and just get his thoughts on what do we believe. Now, the main things is, does the black girl, should she be held accountable for fighting this girl? Because I personally feel like, you know, she was handing out some equal justice, because a lot of people do these things and they start fighting and beating on people who they know they can beat. But then when somebody jumps in who is either, no, she wasn't even equal, she was better, at a different caliber than them, or giving them the same thing that they're dishing out, then all of a sudden we're talking that this is wrong. The second thing is, what about this teacher that everybody's condemning? Can they actually say this teacher is a horrible person for not jumping in, or can we prove that the teacher was standing there the whole time unless another camera view comes out? What do you think?
Well, let's be real, man. This is an American story, the bully getting bullied. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like when you see this is a Disney a movie that we done seen over and over again. You know what I mean? It's a picture that we've seen before, we recognized before, you know what I mean? And then when you talk about the teacher, once again, we don't really, I can't remember what setting was that. Was that like lunch or something like that?
Yeah,
for phones and all that, then coming out like that, that got to be like lunch. So I'm thinking maybe the teacher wasn't even aware, and somebody probably went and got him and said, this young girl is doing this. By the time he get in there, the other girl getting dragged. So the girl that he thought they was talking about was actually, the white girl, but when he come in there, it's the black girl beating up, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's why I say sometimes social media will paint a picture of a situation that ain't that. Let's imagine if I was in there, like, Mr. Williams, somebody in there fighting. I'm going in there, I see the black girl manhandling this Caucasian girl. I'm like, oh. And everybody like, dang, why you ain't do that to the other girl? It's like, but that's the narrative the internet created. That's not what's reality. Right. Where's the other cameras at? So it's like, we can't do that. We can't say the teacher was wrong or that person was wrong without factual evidence to prove it. But like I said before, this story we seen on Disney movies, all these type of fairy tale movies, but the bully getting bullied. That's what that was right there. You know what I mean? And then, like I say, every story has a backstory to it. We don't know if that girl was messing with her boyfriend or whatever. You know what I mean? You know, it'd be all those little backstories behind it.
I get the backstory, but nobody has. I personally believe that anyone has a right to put their hands on anybody else. And in this particular situation, like, this girl is balled up under the table, clearly not fighting this Caucasian girl back. Clearly not fighting her back. So personally, you know, I don't condone bullying in any way, shape, or form. However, I do feel like had that black girl had not jumped in that moment and grabbed that girl off of her and then began to serve her some equal rights, she probably would have kept hitting her, because she literally turned around to the camera and was laughing like, and all her friends was like, get her. And then all of a sudden, somebody else jumps in and she got. So the part about the teacher I do agree with. I agree that you don't know if the teacher was actually there. And I feel like a lot of people are dragging this teacher like, oh, this is the American system, teacher jumps in for this one. We can't actually say that the teacher was there the whole time, because I personally think that with these kids having these phones out, the teacher would have been said something. I mean, any teacher, I've been a teacher, I taught high school, kindergarten, all types of the grade levels. The teacher had to have started filming from the moment that the girl started hitting the girl before the teacher got there. And then when the teacher walks in, of course, they interrupt the fight that they saw. You know what I'm saying? That's not them trying to pick. And people probably going to be like, oh, y'all just know. I just don't believe that was necessarily what happened.
I'm going to ask you a question, right? When you heard that they said the teacher was there the whole time, what was the feeling you felt? See, that is how
disappointed.
That's the motivation behind it. It's disappointing, not just disappointing anger. Like, why y'all ain't doing that? And then when you make anger, this is how the internet works. You engage now. More people engaging because like, damn, what are they on some racist stuff or what they doing? Why they do that? Huh? It's the internet. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do.
And the sad part about it, what I think personally is that teacher right now, of course, I've seen videos where they are dragging this teacher, right? And that teacher might have been a person, or probably is, you know, an upstanding person who literally does not feel the way you are putting, like, it's not racist at all, but based on the way the story is shot. And we see it all the time with propaganda and how things happen, that we can change the narrative of what's actually happening in a story based on how we tell it, based on how we show it, based on the angle to which that the story is being shown. Because we've seen that the whole last year with all of the different videos coming out. On one angle, it looks like one thing. On another angle, you're like, whoa, this is wow. You know, if there was another camera on the other side of the room, y'all might have seen that the teacher just walked in through the cafeteria doors. So we need to be careful with stuff like that, because the internet does try to pull on your emotions, like he said, and they're creating this. A lot of times it's not even necessarily the story that is the truth. It's the story that people believe, and they're like, nah, she was standing there the whole time. And I'm like, but how do you know? You know, how do you know? Maybe she wasn't standing there the whole time. He or she. Okay, so then the other story I wanted to talk about, this one is more of a touching story, and I wanted to add it to this video because this is my awareness video, you know, writing rights and just being a voice in the community. So there's a student named SeMarion Humphrey. SeMarion Humphrey lives in Plano. His mother, Summer, has been on the news and videos have gone viral, and it has literally disgusted me to keep looking at the updates. So I promised myself on all of my social media platforms that we would talk about what happened. So basically, SeMarion is in school and he's getting bullied by kids. Back around February, he gets befriended by a different kid, right? Another kid, basically. And he doesn't know that this friend that befriends him is also friends with his bullies. He gets invited to a birthday party over a weekend with the friend that he thought was his friend. And he gets there, and all these other kids are there. And these other students that are bullying him, they're like calling him racial slurs. They're on video camera. They wake him up, telling him he's having an asthma attack, and force him to drink a cup of urine, shoot him with a BB gun, all on camera. And they post a video to social media. His mother goes back to the school, and they're basically saying, well, this incident happened off campus, which, you know, I'm a teacher, so I know that does play into whether it happened at the school. But she's saying that these things were happening at school. Students have come forth saying that these things were happening at school, and recently people are releasing the kids' names that did these things to this little boy, but something should happen for him. I really believe that. I believe that until the schools or the superintendent or whoever begins to rally for him, it does teach students or kids that their behaviors can go without consequence. And especially if they get away with what's going on now. I mean, what do you believe? What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely the process of what we all went through in high school. The bullying and stuff like that. Is it a nice and a good thing? No, but it's like I told you, these shows you see all this stuff on television, which is programming. Like how we just seen American Pie and somebody that done some crazy stuff, you know what I mean, gluing people's stuff, and like we just seen all the gimmicks and YouTube, all the different stuff up there, you know, all the games people playing, stuff like that, the pranks and stuff like that. My whole thing with this is, like I say, if it's actually hurting a person and it's becoming this cyberbullying or bullying, you know what I mean? Like I said before, it's like the parents has got to get in, and different people that's in the schools and stuff got to talk to them. But it's been going on for years, you know what I mean? It's not like something new, you know what I mean?
I get it. I get it, but the difference now, I believe that, I think what's changing the game about what's happening now is the internet. People they were doing these things back in the day, you know, what you call it when you're getting into a sorority, it was a hash or something, where they're doing these things, forcing you to do these things. It's the way you're getting initiated into your organization or whatever way you do it, and they're mostly, you know, horrible things that you have to endure, right?
Oh.
But the social media but when you post a video of it, it's not like I said on my video on TikTok, is that, you know, I believe that a lot of times with superintendents, they have a challenge of trying to come up with the burden of proof. I hear there's an allegation, but I need some way to be able to prove or justify me suspending all these kids. I can't just suspend them because someone says it. It's not that I don't believe you. It's just we need to be able to put something together, or else this family's going to come after us as well, right? The problem to me was there's a video, and there's a video of them doing it, so that proves that they did it. They should be held accountable. Don't you agree?
They will be held accountable.
Yep.
Even if they're minors, like if they got a video, they're taking this stuff to court and all that. I mean, their parents gonna have to deal with the after effects of that. Like I said before, as we had friends and stuff like that, we did crazy things, you know what I mean? But like I say, once somebody's getting hurt and it's becoming overwhelming and too much, then these type of activities happen. Because I know being a young kid, everybody, the first person goes to sleep, put lotion in his hands and watch them slap themselves. We do the little feather. Everybody played those little games and stuff like that.
That's one thing, but forcing them to drink pee.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's different. That's taken to a different level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I was just saying. Like that's when you're going too far and then being too crazy with stuff. You know what I mean? But everybody played little games and stuff like that. But when you're going too far when it's hurting somebody or something that despicable, you know what I mean? I mean, like I say, man, I done some of the games and I've been games that got done to me. You know what I mean? So. Like
I don't think this was a game, to be honest. I feel like it's a issue when it comes to, especially when they were saying the racial slurs at them. I believe that these behaviors are learned. That's one thing that I've always...
slurs? I didn't even know nothing about that.
Oh, yeah, they were calling him racial slurs, shooting him with a BB gun, hitting him in his private with a belt. Like, they was doing all types of craziness.
That's like extreme
they were trying to
bullying.
torture him. Yeah.
It's like extreme. That's why I say with some situations like that, then you got to get people involved. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially because, you know, normally what happens psychologically to a kid that's dealing with that, what ends up happening, the depression get in, and then, you know what I mean, because you got to think about it, if everybody's seeing this video, now you walk into the school, you's a laughing person at that point, and if your self-esteem is not at a level that it need to be at, you know what I mean, it could really crush you, you know what I mean. So like I say, parenting is very good in these particular situations, you know what I mean, because like I say, the mental standpoint of a kid at that age, sometimes everybody's not built the same. It can be like glass just shattering all over the floor. You know what I mean? Like I say, I don't know how the kid is handling it, but like I say, the parents gonna definitely do what they gotta do. You know what I mean? On their side, as far as the legal aspect of it all, especially somebody doing some heinous things of that nature. You know what I mean? Like that's beyond far of playing, and you know what I mean? It's going into a despicable aspect of it all. You know what I mean? But like I say, racial slur, when I start hearing the story unfold even more, I'm like, oh, y'all, we going too, this past the lotion in the hand, and you know what I mean, this is going a little too far. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
But one of the things that I want to encourage parents and people who are watching the video, thank you if you stayed on this long, but I also encourage parents to encourage their kids to talk to you. Encourage your kids to let them know that there's nothing they can't tell you, because I truly believe that in these situations, sometimes these kids are going through these things and they don't tell anyone. They don't tell anyone, and then once it's the video post and now they're being publicly humiliated, now you're going back trying to pick up pieces and trying to figure out, you know, when did this start, how long has this been happening, and you know, kids are harming themselves, suicide is rampant, depression is running rampant, and you would be surprised how many of them are enduring hardships that they don't even want to tell anyone about. And now, like he said, they got to walk into the school every day, and they got to be around these kids every day. I tell you right now, I have a son. And I'm telling you, like, my son has been through situations even recently where I actually work at his school. And I remember him being surrounded by a bunch of kids. And they grabbed my son, which is beyond me. Surrounded by a bunch of kids calling him names. And he had begun to cry. He was going to flare up. And his personality is he was going to lose. He was going to wig. So they grabbed my son and was like, he was aggressive, he was this, but they didn't get the backstory. So finally when the backstory come out, like, everybody turns. And I remember them saying to me, like, we didn't know what happened first. We didn't know what happened before that. And they were so apologetic to me because at first they were saying like my son was completely in the wrong. He's going to beat these kids up. And then once all the story begins to unfold and he's telling them what they were doing, you know, they're all like, we're sorry, we're so sorry, you know, this is what happened. Because a lot of times that's what happens. And this is why I put it to racial inequality. This is why I put it to, you know, us having to have a voice about certain things. This is why I don't make it just a normal plain situation, because they will grab my son and say, oh, he's too aggressive. And then they'll find out, oh, Billy been jumping on him all year long and enough was enough. See, this is the problem. We have to begin to look at these situations and say, where is the line? When do we stop it? When do we tell them that this is not going to be okay? And we're not going to tolerate any more of this, and we're not going to call it just jokes. Unfortunately, what happens with a lot of kids, and the reason why they grow up to be just completely terrible adults, not even to be funny, is that we do not teach them at an early age that these are not just, oh, you didn't just take something, you stole it. This wasn't a little white lie, you lied. You know what I'm saying? Make them accountable to what they're doing. You're not just, oh, it was just a joke. No, when you say that you wanted to hurt their feelings, and a lot of times afterwards you turn it, I know adults that do that. Oh, I was just joking. You wasn't just joking. You just got caught up in what you said, and now you're saying you were just joking because you don't want to be accountable to the consequences to what happened. And that's where we just go wrong, allowing kids to think that they're untouchable. And then when they become an adult or they become of age or they're older and they do these things, they're no longer, they're going to jail.
I was going to say, like, I was one of those kids that I used to get bullied as a kid, going home from school and stuff like that, or I would have a fight, and my mom would always ask me what would happen and what was going on, and I would always say I just fell. I would never tell her what was actually going on, because for some reason as a kid, I just felt like it wasn't manly to put my mom walking me to school and all this type of thing. In my mind, it was just stuck like that, like, I gotta always protect my mom at all times, and then I gotta be strong enough to deal with what's going on and just keep moving forward. Even though I went to school scared every day, I would never ever I didn't give a kill if I had cuts or anything. She would see it, and I just would like, nah, I just fell down, Mom, I'm okay. She's like, Charlie, why your nose bleeding or this and that? I'm like, I just fell, Mom. I was playing outside. I would never tell her why any of these things was happening. You know what I mean? I just dealt with it. Like I said before, I just thank God for giving me a mom that always gave me a lot of love and stuff like that. Because if I was a kid that was going home to a damaged home that was real bad, that would have been devastating to me. She would always give me love and stuff like that. So even though I was going through the bullying in school, I was able to get past it. And then, like I say, the people that was doing it back in the days, we good friends now, you know what I mean? Because I became stronger and I began to know people in the neighborhood. Like I say, I went and got the bullies, you know what I mean? And they began to bully the bullies, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's what I did, you know what I mean? I remember one time, all these guys was bullying me after school, and I went to Hope Street and got all the big guys out there. And I said, come on up to the school after school. So when they was coming to try to bully me this particular day, all of them took off running. You know what I mean? Because what I learned at that time as a kid, I had to outthink everybody. And that's what I used to use, you know what I mean? Strategy against the kids that was bullying me at that time. You know what I mean? I just used my strategy, and it worked. And they never ever try to bully me again, because I went and got some of the guys that I was in elementary school. I went and got some of the guys from middle school, and they was all afraid of them. And they said, yeah, Charlie, we gonna come up there, we got you, woo. And they really was out there after school, and they chased them all the way back home.
I wasn't that smart as a kid. To be honest, I felt like I had to fight every time. Like, I fought every single time. And I wasn't really bullied as a kid, to be honest. They used to call me Taz. You remember that cartoon? Tasmanian Devil. And everybody would make this big joke. Here comes Taz. I remember my mom, because of her drug addiction, we changed schools like every year. And every year I had to prove myself all over again, especially for the folks who didn't understand or didn't know who I was. So I would go into a school and I'd be by myself minding my business. And here go that one person, because they always try you. Oh, look at this big girl. Look at this. And I'm like, come on now. I'm not bothering you, ma'am, sir. Whichever one. I'm not bothering you. And then as soon as that one fight popped off, or that I remember I was getting jumped one time, and I was like, my older sister used to tell me, whenever you get jumped, you grab the biggest person and you drag them. It doesn't matter if you get beat up. You just take one person with you. And I remember I would use that in every scenario that I went into, every school I went in. And I didn't outthink anybody. I just had to fight. I had to fight, and I had to fight, make sure I did not lose. And I remember there were days like I got hit in the face with a bag of pennies. And I was just like, the pennies itself is literally what took me to the place where I cannot believe that had happened to me. But I remember those stories, and I remember those fights, and I remember being out there, and it just was just like so tragic as a kid, because no, you don't go home and tell your parents. I grew up in the era, if you come home and you got beat up, you going back out to fight somebody. I'm like, oh my goodness. So you don't go home and say nothing. As a matter of fact, like my older sister, I remember one time my baby sister had gotten tripped by somebody in the neighborhood, and my sister was like, don't come back unless you know. I'm like, oh my goodness. I had to put a mentality of, I'm not going to let this go until it's over. I ran into this person's house. So back in the day when we were growing up, you were able to be a little touched, not by an angel, and God graced us to get through it, because it's some stuff that we did as kids that nowadays, that's not going to float. People are getting killed behind stuff that we did as kids growing up. And you would get out in the block and everybody's fighting before you know it. And we would all live to see another day, though. You know what I mean? What was it, on Friday we lived to fight again? Like, but it's just so different now. On a side note, though, we just want to pray for his family, pray for his mother, and pray for him, that the things that Charlie said, that this does not break him mentally, because we don't know how people internalize the things that they experience and how they have to relive it. And now also dealing with the fact that, yeah, he's getting a lot of love from his story going viral and people bringing awareness to it, but it also means that amongst his peers, everybody's becoming aware of it. So they're either going to be for him or against him, or, you know, how kids do with the joking, and it gets ugly sometimes. So we're praying for his strength. We're praying that, you know, all of the kids out there, especially in this generation, are knowing that they have someone to turn to. If you're going home to a family of dysfunction, that is so hard, because I was in foster care, and my mom's drug addiction, you know, my sister was in my life a lot, but my mom was doing what she was trying to do. So, you know, we were pretty much raising ourselves. So it was amazing that he had his mom to give him that foundation of love, so that he didn't feel like he was just, you know, thrown away everywhere, cast away everywhere. That would be a horrible feeling, to be going through this in school, and then you get home and there's nobody to say that I love you, or nobody to embrace you and tell you that you know, you can face another day. The problem that he faced mainly was trying to protect his mom, so he had a level of strength to deal with what he was going through. And that's what we pray, that these kids are having a place that they can find refuge, a place of refuge, because it bothered me so much as a teacher that he was going to school and these things were happening every day and nobody was aware. My students right now, it's so funny, because I have informants in my class. Say what you want, mind your business. I have informants in my classroom, and they come to me right after recess. You know, they'll say, may I have a word with you in the hallway? And they can be talking about themselves, or they can be talking about everybody in the class. And they'll tell me, like, such and such tripped such and such on the playground and busted their lip. You know, you didn't hear it from me. But that's pretty much how it is, because I don't tolerate no bullying. Or I have one little girl come to me, she says, I don't mean to be a tattletale. And, you know, as soon as she say that, she created a tattletale about everything that happened on the playground. But they have a place of safety, because no, I do not want them getting beat up like that on the playground. In our school, they're all mixed, because it's a K-12 school. So there's times when they're out there and right on the side of the field, they're next to 5th and 6th graders. They need to be able to say, like, this is what's happening to us, and feel safe enough to do it. I'm so glad we did this video today. I just want to continue to bring awareness to great topics. Thank you for coming on. I know it was a longer video. We did 2 of them together, but we just appreciate you vibing with us. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok if you haven't. And him, go over there and visit him on Billionaire Charlie, I'm Already Rich.
We got all the links in the description. We also have her 2 amazing books that's on Amazon right now. We're gonna make those bestsellers. You feel me? Like I told y'all, I got 2 other YouTube channels. Y'all can come over here and join the fellowship with us. We're gonna try to do a live, you know what I mean, on one of them, so y'all can like interact with us a little bit more until, you know what I mean, we about to get this channel monetized or whatever. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so we can start going live on this platform too. But we love y'all. Appreciate the love.
Don't forget to love God, love life, and enjoy the journey.